Hi, I'm Joanna, and today you are going to be learning about derivatives. We're going to learn about two separate derivative rules today. The product rule and the quotient rule. But first, let's start out with something a little simpler. If f of x equals g of x plus or minus h of x, then f prime of x equals g prime of x plus or minus h prime of x. Scary, huh? No way! It's simple, just you watch. If f of x equals 3x to the fourth plus 2x cubed plus 3x squared, then that means that f prime of x would equal 12x to the third plus 6x squared plus 6x. But how did I get that? Well, that's easy. To find the derivative of a function, you multiply the exponent to the number in front and you subtract x by 1. So, to get 12x to the third, you multiply 4 times 3 equals 12, and you subtract the x exponent by 1, getting x to the third. To get 6x squared, I multiplied the 3 exponent times the 2 and subtracted the x exponent by 1. To get 6x, I multiplied the 2 exponent to the 3 and subtracted the x. That looks perfect, but we're not done. What we have to do now is GCF, or greatest common factor. In this case, the greatest common factor would be 6x. So your answer would be 6x times 2x squared plus x. Now, why don't we move on to bigger and better things? Like the product rule. The product rule states that when f of x is multiplied to g of x, then f prime of x times g of x plus g prime of x times f of x is equal to the derivative of the function. That sounds so hard. Well, you're wrong. It's really quite simple. If you had f of x equals x squared times 3x plus 2, then you have to use the product rule. To use the product rule, you set a square up. So you would do x squared, its derivative, which would be 2x, 3x plus 2, its derivative, which would be 3, and then you cross multiply. In this case, you would get 3x squared plus 6x squared plus 4x. Then you add those together. Since 3x squared and 6x squared are like terms, they come together to be 9x squared. So, f prime of x would equal 9x squared plus 4x. In this case, you have to greatest common factor. So, f prime of x would equal x, which is common in both 9x squared and 4x, times 9x plus 4. And that would be your derivative. Well, we're almost done with our lesson today, but not quite. We have one more thing to cover. The quotient rule. The quotient rule states that if f of x is divided by g of x, then g of x times f prime of x minus f of x times g prime of x all over g of x squared is the derivative of the function. Let's try a problem. If f of x equals 2x plus 5 all over 3x plus 3, then finding the derivative is easy. You create a square, and it would be 2x plus 5, its derivative, which would be 2, 3x plus 3, and its derivative, which would be 3. Different with the quotient rule, you make whatever this is negative. But just like the product rule, you cross multiply. You would get 6x plus 6 plus negative 6x minus 15. So, when you add those together, your 6x's cancel out, and you would get negative 9, most would think, right? No, because with the quotient rule, you have to put it all over g of x squared. So it would be 3x plus 3 quantity squared. And that's all for today. I hope you learned a lot and enjoyed your time with me. Bye!